this recording? Yes, it is. Okay, good. Hey everybody, John here, obviously. And as you might imagine, or maybe not if you don't care, I have for the last couple of weeks been thinking about ways for people who have been looking at the hyper-conformism and the sort of hard left Kool-Aid that's been seeping through most of the mainstream and employment and news media and every other discussion, every other place people talk about anything. There is this, I would say, radical or hard left progressive ideology, although I actually think it's regressive. And I'm sure that there are many, well, I'm not sure, I in fact know that there are a lot of people who are looking at this and rejecting of it inside their head, but feel very intimidated or anxiety filled with trying to address it, because if you address it in anything other than the most slavish agreement, oh yes indeed, Trump is the devil and white people are innately racist. In fact, racism and white people, we don't even need two different words for that anymore. Like, if you are a thinking person, you know this is a bunch of nonsense. But for a great many people who are not, belligerent jerkwads like me, it's really tough to have these conversations, especially when you're having these conversations in a high-stakes environment, like inside your family, whereas like you have a sense of anxiety that you're going to be rejected by your family, or maybe rejected in the place where you work, rejected by your work environment, which is like, that's not trivial. So how do you respond to this? How do you not just be bullied and belligerently punished into silence when you don't agree with the prevailing hyper-conformism that seems to be now the rising tide? And I spoke to a friend of mine who is a very extremely intelligent person and much more emotionally in tune with other people than I am. I'm a little bit deaf to emotional cues, as you might guess. Not because I'm autistic, just because I kind of don't care. But I was asking her, and my initial questions were how to get people to be able to speak out publicly, like on YouTube or on a blog or some side of social media. And she redirected me back to the question of how to deal with this sort of for her, it was inside her family situation, and for many people, another friend of mine has this problem at work, that there is like this pressure from coworkers or the pressure from family members to buy into this kind of politically correct hyperconformism. Somebody will begin a conversation like saying, God, Donald Trump is such the devil and I hate him and he's obviously Hitler, and then the empty space is supposed to be filled by you jumping in and going, yeah, I hate that guy too. When really what you're thinking in your head is, God, can you just fucking stop it? Like, Trump is, yeah, okay, he's a ridiculous orange-haired, comic book character, but like, I'm not gonna go and hate. I'm not buying into this hate. And how do you do that if the stakes are high that you don't want to lose, like either your respect in your work environment to get blacklisted, or you don't want to have your family turn against you? And I think one way to do it is to address the question, and it kind of doesn't matter, is this, we hate all white people, or we hate all Trump supporters, or we hate all left-leaning people, whatever it is that the tribal division they're trying to draw you into that you don't want to be part of. You can, instead of looking at the grass and the weeds of that particular argument, take it to a higher level of abstraction and say, look, I don't want to play the tribal game. I don't want to put other people in a category of like, they're the evil people and we who hate them are obviously good, and our being good is defined by hating the evil guys. Like, take it to that abstract level so that you're no longer dealing with like, we the Democrats hate the Trump guys, or we the enlightened hate white racists, or whatever it is. Like, I don't have to deal with the white versus black thing, or the Trump versus Democrat thing, or the whatever it is. I don't have to deal with that specific. I'm just going to go, look, You want to put people in the category of evil based on this arbitrary criteria. Like, no, I'm not going to play that game, and I don't want you to try to push me into it. And of course, depending on the situation, depending on the reasonableness of the person, they might continue to push at that point. And then you can take it to another higher level of abstraction. And in this case, and this is so that you don't have to like just shut your mouth, and you don't have to go along with stuff politely that you don't believe to be true, and thus erode and corrode your soul away, which is what will happen if you go along with stuff that you don't believe. Trump is bad. That eats you. If you don't believe in it, that eats away at you. So the way to say it is like, look, once they've continued to push, when you say, look, I don't want to play this tribal good guys, bad guys basket, and we're obviously good because we're in, the other guy's always the bad guy. I don't want to play that game. If they continue to push you, you can say, look, the people in my life, all of them, are in my life because I want the best for them, and I have that expectation in reverse as well. And you're trying to push me into this dividing into tribes, and that means you don't really want the best for me. You're just trying to use me to validate a narrative. And so what you're doing is you're putting yourself in the opposite basket. And this is not a game I want to play. And, you know, obviously I'm stealing here. I'm stealing shamelessly directly from Peterson's book, 12 Rules. And this is Rule 3. And it has two sides. That the people in your life are people who you want the best for, and that they are in your life, they're allowed to be in your life because they've demonstrated that they want the best for you. The converse side is people who don't want the best for you, who are willing to harm you. Whether it's, you know, cut you with a knife, which is very unlikely in such a situation, but harm your career, harm you by expelling you from the family, harm you by, you know, blacklisting you emotionally or blackmailing you emotionally. And you can point this out at the meta level and describe the situation without going into the weeds of the specific details. And at these two levels, and one comes after the other, this will allow you, I hope, to be able to not have to just quietly be silent while you have to kind of nod in agreement with things that you view as false, or worse, you have to voice agreement with things that you view as false, which will dissolve and eat away at your bones and at your soul. It will actually make you physically sick if you do it for long enough. So those two things hopefully are helpful. For people who are less belligerent and disagreeable than me, it allow them to not just have to be kind of browbeaten into silence or agreement. Anyway, I hope that's somewhat helpful. And anybody who wants to question me further, you know, send me an email. I'll put my email in the low bar, or in the description bar. And the other thing, this is something I did never do on my channel, and it makes me a bad YouTuber. I'm going to try to remember to start doing it. If you like this, click the like button. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I'm never going to say smash the subscribe button as so many people do. I think that would be like, why would you smash it? Just press it gently. And also ring the bell so that you get notifications, because obviously YouTube is playing funny games and unsubscribing people. So make sure that if you want to be subscribed, you are still subscribed. And obviously, thanks very much for watching, and have a lovely, lovely day.